Yeah. And there's not many of us, so we're in that. It's pretty difficult as a small team because you sort of have to be pitching and starting again as immediately as you finish. There's sort of no time for a break, but we want to try and have a quieter summer for the team. You know what I mean? Where they're not busting their asses so much. But for me, it's I got meetings with everyone from Sony to Nintendo to talk about stuff and see if there's what they want and if it aligns with what we want. And the beauty of being a small team is we can sort of pick a little bit, and we have enough in the bank to not go out of business next week, which is a bonus. So hopefully it's sort of like figuring out what we're going to do next, having a light, a quieter summer, and then really getting into the project towards the fall.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, whatever's new in the fall.
And then the game's also dropping on Game Pass, right? Isn't it dropping on Game Pass?
Game is dropping on Game Pass. If you love it, please add the $10 to do the Cosmic Hoarder edition. Because that was what keeps us in business. That's the T-shirt at the rock concert, if you know what I mean. Like, it's where you actually have to make buy a poster. But
I pre-ordered the game from GameStop, which I'll be picking up after work on Thursday, and I will be giving you another $10 for the Cosmic Hoarder edition as soon as I get it installed.
You are
all that.
Yeah,
100%.
You are a friend of
Raccoon. You guys deserve it.
Thank you, sir.
What is it like doing business with Google versus with Microsoft?
All the big companies are pretty faceless. That's the thing. It's hard to get. They're pretty fractured and pretty faceless. Like, there's lots of departments that compete with each other, and sometimes the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. But Microsoft's been a great friend for us on this one. They've always treated us well, and they were great friends of the first game. So I have nothing but good things to say about Microsoft. They've been, just been great.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, if it wasn't for Journey to the Savage Planet being on Game Pass that first go-around, I'm not even sure if I would have ended up playing it and falling in love with it. I gotta be honest, because
that's it.
It was recommended to me by my brother, and he was like, "Hey, I think you'll really like this." And then I'm like, "Okay." And because I remember hearing about it and seeing it, and I wasn't sure what it was, and then I played it, and I was like, "Yep, this is me." And then I went and bought a physical copy.
Yeah.
So hopefully, we don't know quite the numbers, but Microsoft told us it did quite well in Game Pass, so we're hoping that translates to sales on the second. So
nice.
I will say this too, as far as like Game Pass is one thing, and it's great because I'm a huge Game Pass fanboy. But like your marketing trailers are sensational, both for this and the first game. Because I remember the first game's trailer. I think I got it like the exact same day when I got home. And I think I could say that about like one other game. I think I saw a Red Dead Redemption review and went home and bought it. And I think Journey to the Savage Planet was like the second game I did that with, where I was like, that looks pretty good.
That's cool, because we do all those ourselves. Like, I would never be allowed to say some of the things we say in those trailers if we were still at the Ubisoft or an EA. We try to. We know that the biggest problem is getting through the noise, and so we're trying as much as possible to get people to see it, because as you said earlier, there's just too many games being released, which sounds like a great problem to have, and it is in some ways, but it's not. It's hard for visibility.
Yeah. What's your opinion on the discourse? I don't know if I could call it a discourse then. That people think that putting games on Game Pass hurts game sales and hurts the industry as a whole by being a subscription service instead of purchasing the games from you, the maker of the game, and the people that deal with it. What's your opinion on that?
I think it's very tricky. I think it's done terrible things to the music business when there's only streaming, and hasn't been good for movies that there's only streaming. So I think it's dangerous when it becomes the only way people consume this stuff. Mm-hmm. Because what will basically happen is, you make it so that it's the only way you can sell a game, and then they start lowballing you. It's usually the way it happens. And so basically everyone's a subsistence farmer at that point. But I think luckily we have enough platforms, and there's enough ways to market that we're in a better space than music was.
Yeah.
But I think it's okay as part of the ecosystem, and I think it's very dangerous as the only thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
Honestly, I hadn't thought about it until you just said it. Then it's literally a monopoly on delivery, essentially.
Yep.
If you're only given one way of doing things,
and suddenly then your percentage gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
Going back to, I don't want to keep harking back to Stadia, but it is a storied part of your history. Does it, in your opinion, affect things with the concept of cloud gaming being that you can play the same game on any device rather than purchasing separate versions of it to play on a particular device? So were you not kind of nervous? You were like, is this going to cannibalize PC sales if people can play it on their phones or consoles, whatnot?
Yeah, well, I mean, for us, with that, one of the exciting things about the Stadia deal was that we'd be in house. So then we were paid regardless, and they were never going to pay us a royalty on it. So it was a safe bet. I think Microsoft is showing you the strategy. If you don't have the dominant device, and they perceive that PlayStation won, and now they won when they installed social, and so basically now their audience is never going to leave. So they have to go multi-platform if they're going to produce content, and I think you're going to see more and more of that if you don't have the dominant platform. So I think, you don't want to be in just one place. You want to be in as many as possible. So if someone on that phone can pay for it, and someone on the console can pay for it, on the PC can pay for it, it's better. You know what I mean? And
I guess my final question before we wrap it up is: Revenge going to eventually be on Switch or Switch 2?
Nintendo's notorious. Like all these companies, when they get excited about their new thing, they don't like talking to people. They get a little bit of hubris. You know what I mean? And so they were very excited. And Nintendo's never really liked third party. I think they see it as a Nintendo delivery service. And then other people just sort of occasionally appear next to them, which is fine. That's what I buy their system for mostly. So they were having meetings with us because we were on the first Switch with Journey, and we were like, when's Switch 2 coming out? Yeah, give us dev kits. And they would be like, there's no Switch 2. You're like, all right, I've got yeah, exactly. And you're like, well, my office mate has a dev kit, so he didn't invent it, but they were very Japanese and very buttoned up, and they wouldn't do it. So we haven't started. We got our Switch 2 dev kits last week, which was exciting. So we're looking at it, and then we're doing it. I'm a big Nintendo. Nintendo hits my nostalgia buttons way too hard, and it's very bad. Even though they're not cuter or cuddlier than the others, they're just a big company. But they still managed to get me to buy the same game 55 times. So
Very briefly, what do you think about the price hike in games for the Switch 2, or even Xbox just now announcing that they're going to up game prices? What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's not great because it's a lot of money. But then I went out the other day and I bought 3 hamburgers and fries for the kids and myself, and it was $120, right? So I think it's that everything's becoming more expensive, and we'd be fools to not go along with it because games have become, we used to spend teams of 20 people making games, then 50, then 80, now hundreds and hundreds, especially like a Ubisoft or whatever. The cost of making games has gone up like 1,000%, but the cost of selling them hasn't. But there's also a breaking point where it's just not a good price. And so I think it's tough, but I think also the market these days, we can change the price. Like we set our price right on all these platforms. In the old days, there was one price because that was what Walmart wanted, and I had to fly out to Destination PlayStation and convince a bunch of people in pencil ties, that they should stock the shelves and how many they should do. And if you didn't get Walmart to carry it and other people to carry it, then you were dead before you launched. And at least now you can persist on an online platform, and we can move the price around. So I think that part's healthier. But it's a bit of sticker shock. In Canada, that's Mario Kart World is $110.
Yeah.
$110, which is. But then again, I paid $150 for Conker's Bad Fur Day in Australia in '98. So
Australia prices
that was
crazy.
A lot. Yeah, I flipped a lot of hamburgers at Hungry Jack's to get that going.
Yeah, I feel like AAA games have been quite the same price for a very long time, so I feel like it's kind of been an inevitability that it would go up eventually. But that is the nice part about AA and indie and games like your own game and others out there, that they can just choose to make their game $10, $20, $30, $40, $50, or whatever it is that they want to make it, and look at their own margins and whatever fits. And I think more people are going to start gravitating in that direction, I guess, since AAA is going to start going up. Honestly, that's been a lot of where the innovation is anyway. So lately.
Yeah, and I think that's it. And then it just gets weird when it crosses with Game Pass, and you've got like an Indiana Jones for free versus like a 2D jump and run for free. It's very strange. Like the whole that I don't think the market is shaken out. Yeah, I don't think this is its final form.
Yeah.
Alex, humor me on this question. So I remember thinking for the longest time that we were just getting screwed by developers, and they were just marking up the prices because they just were tired of not getting the returns they wanted, and this and that. And to some degree, that may be true. You know, the DLC is probably less value than it has been in a long time, things like that. But I noticed when I was doing a lot of retro reviews and things like that, that the little thing at the end of the shareware episodes would pop up, and they'd tell you how much the game would cost, like a Doom and a Wolfenstein. And it was like $50-$60 back then in 90s, 92 money. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, games cost that much? And that was just the extra parts of the game that you already played?
It was like that in the 80s as well.
Easily compared to development costs that have only probably tripled, quadrupled, and we've been sitting here paying this 50 to 60 increase for like 2 decades, and we're sitting here like, I can't believe this. You know, it's like maybe we've been given.
Yeah, I think it's always like, it's just like value for money. So, you know, like it's, I mean, it's true. It's always been expensive. It's always been an expensive hobby. And then that's why, you know, that led to a lot of piracy in different periods. And it's led to a lot of, you know, the shareware model, and then the free to play model, and then all these ways to play. So I think there's more ways than ever to play, which is nice. And yeah, I think it's not going back down again at this point, at least on initial release.
Yeah, I think GTA 6 will be the first $100 game where that's the standard price.
It sounds like, not to think of it like politics, it sounds like they're testing the water for that.
Yes.
There's a few stories going around just to see how things are reacting. But, you know, hopefully not, but maybe.
Yeah, we'll see.
What do you do, not play it? You know?
Yeah.
I played
maybe people will just buy less games.
Yeah, the only GTA game I ever played was GTA 1 back when it first came out when I was a teenager.
Oh, yeah.
I've never played any of the other games because they don't really interest me. But, wow, yeah, that is an absolute juggernaut of a title. That to say that would be a system seller is an understatement. People will be buying consoles just to get that game. Yeah.
Yeah, proper system seller.
It's Rockstar, baby.
Old school system seller.
Yes.